Alrighty guys, welcome back to another little video where today we're going to be looking at something that I just recently picked up on eBay. A radiator. Now what's so special about this radiator? Well, it's second-hand, and I kind of wanted to take today to talk about second-hand water cooling equipment because there's a lot of misconceptions out there about it, thinking that if you buy something secondhand for water cooling, you're likely to get something that's either going to leak or not work, or a lot of different things. So, yeah, let's get into it, shall we? By the way, sorry I haven't uploaded for like a month. Everything has been just hectic and crazy, and life has its way of kicking me while I'm down, and so far it's only kicked me time and time again. So I don't want to make videos when I'm going to be in a really bad mood or when I'm like obviously bothered by something, so I'm more pacing myself based on when I'm having good days than anything else because, yeah, real life sucks. So let's talk about computers instead. Okay, so what exactly is this and what is the story? This is a simple copper radiator from a Chinese manufacturer that I'm actually going to be doing some more looking into later. But this is a full-fledged copper radiator. Now, I was able to pick it up for only $12. Now, the thing behind that is that's a really good price. For a full copper radiator from a standard manufacturer, from someone like EK or AlphaCool, you're looking at probably spending right around $100, if not more. Going to a Chinese manufacturer, you're still going to be looking at spending 30, 40 bucks, and having a full copper one, maybe 50 bucks, depending on the market, depending on which way it looks. So why exactly did I get this one for so cheap? Simple. The person who sold it to me sold it as 4 parts are not working. Their description was, this radiator was in a water cooling loop that had experienced a lot of algae growth to where the water cooling loop ceased to function. So the actual description said they didn't know if this was going to be able to be saved. And so I was thinking, you know what, I'll take a chance on it. It's only $12. I can afford that. So I picked up a radiator. When I first got the radiator in, it stunk. Like, there was some serious poop in the loop. I kid you not, opening up the box smelled like algae. And so I knew that there was definitely growth inside of here. But then I decided that I was just going to clean it. How I would clean anything that had bacteria or algae or anything growing on it. And so I decided to take a few of my own radiators and clean it alongside this one. So this radiator, for any of those who remember my T3500 water cooling days, yeah, this is a full copper radiator, Chinese manufacturer. This is actually a generic brand one. I think I picked this up for 40 bucks. And this radiator was in my T3500 when I was running Primo Chill View through it. And so this radiator is actually, or it was fully clogged to the point where I could not push air through it, or I could push very, very little air through it. So this one is going to be cleaned alongside the other one. And then finally, I have this little aluminum radiator. Now this is one I've actually done a lot of experiments with, and I'm going to be doing some videos on aluminum radiators coming up here in the very near future. Because I've been really interested in these aluminum radiators for one specific reason. They are cheap. But there's a lot of information that goes along with these things, so that's going to be a topic for another day. But I decided I needed to clean all 3 of these radiators. So, let me show you how I did it. It was actually pretty simple. What I was going to do, just fill up a sink full of water, dump in some bleach, and see what happens. At first I was filling it up full of cool water, but then I thought that's not going to be able to help the Primo Chill View gunk get out of this radiator. So I ended up putting in a whole bunch of very, very hot water. It wasn't like boiling or anything, but it was very much warm to the touch where you would not want to stick your hand in that water. I then added a good amount of bleach to hopefully be able to completely clean out the algae in this radiator, which was definitely clogging it. And then finally, just wait. So I ended up waiting about 45 minutes, and then I went up to go and check on the radiators. And when I did that, I realized I actually forgot to pull out 2 of the screws in the burrow radiator. You know, I still don't know how to properly pronounce it, Barrow, because I've heard it both ways, so I'm probably just very, very dumb and don't know how to pronounce it, but I digress. English has never been my strong suit, yet again. But I had forgotten to pull two of the screws out of the copper radiator, and they started to rust a little bit. But not where it was affecting the actual copper. It was just these iron screws were unfortunately just rusting out. So I quickly pulled them out and threw them away because I have extra screws for this thing, and then dropped it back in the water. And so finally, how well did that work? Well, honestly, for the brand new full copper radiator, I could breathe through this thing without any issue. I hooked up a tube and tried to push some air through it, and it was almost no resistance whatsoever. So I have kept an eye on this thing just to see if I can have any smell come out of it. So far, it still smells totally fine. I've pushed air through it a couple of times now, and there's almost no resistance. This radiator is back in fully working order. It is essentially a brand new radiator besides a little bit of cosmetic scratches. So that radiator for $12 is now 100% saved, and I did check it to see if it was going to leak at all, and no leaks, so we're good there. My copper radiator that had Primo Chill View running through it, there is still some resistance coming through this radiator, but not a lot. I think this may have had some natural resistance running through it in the first place, but I would feel comfortable putting this in a water loop, and I wouldn't really be overly concerned. Now, this thing has seen better days. The paint on it is very crappy, and if you look right about there, yeah, that is a big damage spot that I ended up fixing. But, for the most part, it is a fully working order radiator. And yet again, I wouldn't hesitate to use this thing again. I'm actually probably going to strip off the orange paint and paint it something else. But yeah, no, that was a totally fine radiator. And now, this one really doesn't need much of a note because it really wasn't that dirty in the first place. It needed to be cleaned, but really not bad. And yeah, there's going to be a whole video series on aluminum radiators, or a whole video on aluminum radiators, so stay tuned for that one, because that one's going to be fun. But yeah, so after my whole experiment with just a little bit of bleach and some hot water, I now have 2 working radiators that previously weren't working. Okay, guys, but that's probably when we're going to wrap... Alright, guys, so that's probably where we're just going to wrap it up today, because the whole point of this video was to see if I could get this thing cleaned and working, and as we can see, yeah, it's good. So, yeah, that's pretty much all I got for today. I think for the next video, we're going to be looking at the project that is probably going to disappoint a lot of people. Next video, we're probably going to be looking at my water-cooled, overclocked X58 system that is now dead in the water, all puns intended. But that is a story for another day, so I guess I will see you guys later. Have a good one, and peace.